Hi. So a couple of times people have referred to me as a gentleman scientist, and not really knowing what that was, I looked it up, and there's a Wikipedia entry on it, believe it or not. And a gentleman scientist is somebody who's independently funded and researches whatever it is that takes their fancy. It was particularly prominent in sort of Renaissance through to about the 19th century. Died out in 20th century courtesy of corporate funding, and he's making a big comeback right now. There's a lot of people out there who would fit quite nicely under this umbrella of gentleman scientist. Now, of course, in the 18th, 19th century, it was mostly men that did it, and now it's just about everybody, so I prefer the term independent scientist. And somebody was suggesting that there's a possibility of making a group of independent scientists. Now, coupled with the name gentleman scientist, there was a great film called The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And in the UK, there was a comedy group called the League of Gentlemen. So the League of Gentlemen Scientists really struck me as kind of like a cool name. But then I thought, hang on a sec, how about calling it the League of Independent Scientists? So I really quite like that name as an idea. Now, it came from a couple of rambling thoughts, really, that I thought I'd share with you. And one of them is the state of our life in the West. Now, we live pretty comfortable lives in the West. I mean, most people would probably have a variety of agreement or disagreement with that. But we certainly don't have to go to Tesco's or Walmart to buy our loaf of bread, worrying about whether we're going to die from a sniper's bullet or not. We have an expectation that if we go down to the local shops, we're going to return with our bread. And now that's not true in lots of parts of the world, of course. There are parts of the world where if you step outside the front door, you have the expectation you're going to die. Now what that means is, given our comfortable life in the West, we don't have any really, what I consider serious problems. I think our serious problems that we have in the West are mostly constructed from the ease of our lives. We don't have any, so we make them up. I think people are not really problem solving, but problem seeking. We seek problems in order to solve them. We don't have any, well, we make them up. And we make them up along the lines of, am I wearing the right shoes? Does so-and-so like me? What's the meaning of my life? And all that kind of stuff. My daddy doesn't love me. These kind of things I don't consider to be real problems. They're problems we invent because we don't have real problems. Real problems are things like, am I going to die today while I'm buying some bread? Now that's a problem. So because we make up these problems and we seek solutions to them, we get some pretty weird and aberrant behaviour. Now one thing, and this may not seem connected at the moment, but I think it is, one thing is entertainment. Now, to my mind, entertainment is inherently self-serving. If you think about it, then when you're being entertained, the entertainment happens only to you. There might be a knock-on effect. You might be nice to the person next to you in the cinema because it's a particularly good film, but that film and that act of being entertained is specific to the person viewing the film. It's egocentric. It's all about you. Of course, entertainment's great because entertainment is something that you can consume endlessly. Think about how many times you listen to your favourite song. It's not like a cake. If you eat a couple of cakes, you feel full and sick. If you listen to the same song a dozen times, well, maybe you learn the lyrics and you whistle it as you go down the street. So as a method of consumption, as a thing to consume, entertainment is great for our Western capitalist society because we can consume it endlessly. You produce it and consume it again and again and again. How many reruns have you seen of your favourite show? How many films have you seen again and again because you love them? So you can consume it endlessly, and that's great given that we're a society based on consumption. So entertainment has achieved a really prominent status within our society, and it's directed specifically at the individual. So we really laud what entertainment is. Now when we're casting around ourselves, wondering why Dad doesn't love me and have I got the right shoes on, and we're looking for things that will present us problems that we can solve, we tend to see what's in front of us. And it's a bit like a quote out of Silence of the Lambs, actually, when he said, what is it that you first desire? Do you seek things to desire? Not in the least. You desire that which is in front of you. Having learnt that, you then seek things that are beyond what's in front of you, but you begin by looking at what's in front of you, and so do we. So when we're looking at this stuff and we want some kind of meaning to our lives, then what we look at and what we see is that which is in front of us. And of course that which is in front of us in our society is entertainment. So it's little wonder that an awful lot of the kids want to be famous, pop stars, footballers, film actors. This is what's in front of them. And given our consumptive nature and the ideal nature of entertainment for continuous consumption, that's what's in front of the kids. Now, I obviously don't like that. Obviously, from the tenets of my arguments and the way I talk about these things, it's not something that I think is ideal. I actually love Star Trek. Not so much the show itself, but the ethos of the show, that we have great hope for the future. And I agree with that. Now, science and study of science in an independent scientist kind of way is inherently giving. Even if you do it just to amuse yourself, you can't help but create something that is going to help others. So the act of pursuing science is something that will continually give out. The act of pursuing entertainment is inherently something that will self-absorb. Now, I'm not saying that these things are right or wrong. I'm arguing that by their nature, that's what they must do. Now, I'm obviously a scientist. I'm obviously an independent scientist. And my behaviour of doing these things and putting them on YouTube so that you can watch them and hopefully get something from them is inherently giving. It must be. Now, I don't think I'm a particularly giving kind of guy. I'm just somebody who's doing something for a bit of fun because that's what I do. But you can't avoid it. It gets something out there. It sparks people's thoughts. It gets other people working on this stuff. Now, there's a whole load of people like me that I think of as the League of Independent Scientists. And this league is there doing this sort of stuff. And there are some great YouTube channels out there. Nerd Rage being a particular one I enjoy watching, actually. I watch that time and time again because that guy is doing some good chemistry. I watch it and get inspired by it, and I'm sure he's inspiring other people. And there's a whole host of people doing a whole range of things that I like to think of as being part of this League of Independent Scientists. Now, I think it would be a nice idea to formalise that a little bit, to create an actual club of independent scientists who recognise that they're all part of the league. I don't think it's something that you need to particularly be too formal about. It's just something that I think, as a label, is really more than acceptable, something we should be proud of, something that we should say, hey, I'm a member of the League of Independent Scientists. So when somebody asks you, what do? You can tell them, I'm a league member, and it will mean something to them. And this is kind of like pushing that idea that I've expounded in other videos about lifting the whole world up. Instead of making it introspective and entertainment oriented, we make it extrovert. We make it all about looking for things because things are interesting, and the knock-on effect is that it will help people. We lift the world up a little bit, all by being a member of the League of Independent Scientists. So I'm kind of thinking that's how I'm going to refer to myself from now on. Anyway, I hope that was amusing and interesting, and thank you for watching.